Hey, this is Rachel Friedman, and you are listening to The Wellness Boss. Look, the entry bar in the coaching industry is really low. So to compete in the coaching industry, you have to be really fucking good at your craft. That's why every week I will be sharing my tips, tools, and stories to help you become the best coach possible for your clients. Truthfully, guys, let's be real. This is the backbone of your business, and it's what's going to make you a sought-after coach with a thriving business. So let's get started. Hello, everyone, and welcome back to The Wellness Boss. So, I don't even know what episode we're on. I probably should have looked that up, but whatever. Okay, so today I am so excited for my guest. She is, well, I won't tell you where she lives because she's going to tell you, but well, I'm just going to say it. She's all the way across the world from me, which this just blows my mind every time I think about it. Every time we have a conversation, I'm just like, how fucking cool is that? That it's like 10 o'clock my time in the morning, AM, and 10 o'clock PM, her time. And I don't know why that blows my mind, but it does. But anyways, so I'm excited to have Ambra on the podcast with me today. She is really just a beautiful soul, inside and out. If you see the little reel or whatever they call the things for they do on podcasts, I forget what they're called, audiogram, you'll see how beautiful she is actually, because I'm sure that my VA who helps me with the podcast will do a little clip. Anyways, but she is beautiful inside and out. And I wanted Ambra on the podcast today because I've had the pleasure to work with her, but I've also had the pleasure to be beside her as like a peer. And it's just such a cool experience to be on both sides. And she just has so much wisdom, so much knowledge to offer. Ambra, world, hold on 1 second. There is a bug, really big rug. We're just gonna be real right now, crawling by my feet. And
oh God, I hate creepy crawlies.
Okay, well, I got him. Okay, so anyways, and continuing on, we do things real here. So I'm excited to have her on, share her wisdom. We're going to be talking today about the energy of we go first. And if you're like, what the hell does that mean? Don't worry. We're going to dive right into it. So Ambra, tell them exactly where you are. Tell them who you help, because I love it. And I don't know, something kind of like fun and crazy about you.
Ooh, okay. Hi, everyone. I'm Ambra, and I'm all the way from Singapore. If you've not heard of this country, it's fine. It's like a tiny, like red dot. And fun fact, I mean, it's not a fun fact about me, but it literally takes 30 minutes to travel from east to west. Like it's that tiny. So yeah, I help high achieving women go from being super anxious, clingy, and insecure in their relationships to showing up as their best, most confident, secure self, so that their relationships can thrive just like their career.
I love it.
Thank you.
And a fun fact about you.
Oh, right. The fun fact.
I didn't warn her guys about this question, FYI.
Fun fact. I'm half Italian, half Chinese. E posso parlare completamente italiano. Sono nata in Italia. Sì.
I love it. And didn't you mention to me, Ambra, on one of our calls that you're going to actually be going and living in Italy for a while?
Oh, yeah. I am thinking of moving to Italy for 3 months. I have a house there. So that would be so fun. I can't wait to coach people in Italy. Like, what? The dream.
Oh my God. It's such the dream, right? So it's like, I want everyone to hear this. Like you can literally just get up and go somewhere for 3 months in this career and still work. It's one of the gifts.
Yes. I mean, everyone's like, oh my God, I love what you do. I want to be a coach.
Right.
If you want to be a coach, hello, Rachel.
Yes. And it is seriously the best job ever. Like it really is. So Ambra, with that being said, what got you into coaching? Tell them.
Oh, wow. Well, you know what? I used to have a phobia of bats, and I tried all the things. I tried like hypnotherapy, past life regression, counseling. I did all the things. And then I worked with a life coach, and literally what took me like 10 over years to overcome. I did it in just 6 weeks. And I was like, what the fuck? Like, this is incredible. Like, what is this magic? Like, what? And she's like, yeah, all I did was just show you what was going on in your mind. And I was like, oh my God. And then at that point in time, and this, I think this is why we kind of talked about this, you go first, because I was like, this is amazing. I want to do this. I didn't know what my niche was. I just knew I wanted to help people. And yeah, like, I think within the span of like, it didn't take me a really long time. Like within 6 months, I was like, I started my business. I was like, I want to do this. I'm going to do this. Like, you go first, energy, right?
Yes. So, Ambra, what were you doing before you were coaching?
Coach. But I was a health coach and I was working for a company. And I think at that point in time, like health coaching and life coaching is different, right? I was working on people's like nutrition plans, like sleep and diet, as opposed to, there is a small element of life coaching, but it was not entirely. And it was just, I just fell in love with life coaching. And I was like, I'm just going to do this. No, I wasn't even like certified as like a life coach at that point in time. I mean, I was certified as a health coach and, yeah, but not a life coach. So I was just like, fuck it, I'm doing it.
I like love that. Like people all the time think that, oh, well, you have to be certified before you get started. And hey, I run a certification. So I'm not saying don't get certified or do, but like I started with that one too. And like I always say that the reason I believe that when you do decide if that's the route you want to take, definitely go for one. Of course, I think you should go for mine, but go for one that's not just about learning things intellectually, because that's what a lot I see is out there is you learn something, like you study, right? You study a book, you study a manual, you study a protocol, a process, and then they're like, okay, you're done, go be a coach. But you haven't learned how to really feel it in your body, how to do it. And really, I think the most valuable part of a certification is the application, the practice, and the feedback. And, a lot of programs out there aren't doing that. They're giving you the knowledge, but in all truthfulness, like that knowledge is great. And I don't want to dismiss it. And some people need that first, right? But you can get a lot of that from reading some really damn good books too.
Yeah, for sure. And I totally agree. And that's why, like, I know this is not the theme of the podcast, but I just want to say this. Like, I got certified as a health coach and I learned all the things. Like, let's say you want to be a health coach, right? Like, you get certified, you learn all those things, but then nobody teaches you how to be a coach.
Right.
There's like no manual for that, right? So, like, sometimes, like, you just got to go and just learn and be comfortable with failing and fucking it up and not knowing what you're doing. Like, you really have to put yourself out there. There is no way to learn, like, if you're not willing to like go out there and just do the damn thing.
Yeah, 100% agree. And I think that was like honestly part of the reason why I created a certification that's a little bit different, right, than the average one, because yes, 100% agree with Amber. You have to go out and just fucking do the thing. But like when you get a group of peers that you get to practice on and do the fucking thing on, it's like that little like step. Like, okay, so now I get to practice on them. Oh, wait, it works on them. Okay. I can try this new tool out on them before I go try it on a random person, right?
Yeah.
Anyways, so Ambra, I'm curious. Tell them how you stumbled into helping women like heal from heartbreak.
Oh, well, I mean, like, honestly, like heartbreak and relationships, like, it's just like I was codependent on my partners for so long. Like, I was always, the main thing for me was that I never knew how to be alone. I was always bouncing from one relationship to another relationship. And even if my needs weren't being met and I was so unhappy, I would just stay for the longest time. And I just decided, like, God damn, like, I've never learned how to love myself. I've never learned how to be by myself. And like, I'm using men as like a clutch. Like, I need them to feel good enough, to feel important, to like, dare I say, like, derive my sense of self-worth. And so then I was like, gosh, like, this is not like, I just asked myself this question one day. I was like, would I want I know it sounds really terrible, but I was like, at that point in time, I was like, do I want my daughter to be like me?
Yeah.
And I was like, no. And so you guys, like, I wanna share this really like powerful story. So like I was in a 7-year relationship and it was seemingly like, okay, everyone was like, oh, you guys can get married. But I decided again to go first and to leave the relationship. Like I was like, no. And so like this is why I really love this you go first energy, because like whatever it is that you want, like you have to be the first one to take that initiative. It's scary, of course it is, but like I've seen this so many times. Like the result of that is something magical, something that like you can't even fathom what's possible when you take
Mm-hmm.
that leap, when you decide that you want something better for yourself. I think that's such a powerful decision.
Yeah, I'm curious, like, was there a moment or like, what was the like wake up moment where you were like, yeah, I could get married, but like, this isn't really what I want. Like, in that where you took that bold step and you went first and you walked away.
Yeah, well, I realized that I could have been happy with this person, but at the same time, um, I I realized that we had like very different values in life. And that's so if you guys saw the manual, like it's not all about like expectations, what he should like. I just realized that was a huge clash. And if we were, to have continued being in that relationship, I just it just wouldn't align with what I want. And I think it's so important for you to be clear of what you value, and yeah, if it's not a good match, then go, right? Like leave. So that was one. And then I mean, okay, details. Well, at the point of time, my partner, we had really busy schedules, and we were meeting each other just like twice a week. And sorry, not twice a month, twice a month.
What?
Yeah. And when we were together, he was like always on his phone, like just never involved. And I was like, this is not what I want. I could be
Mm.
happy. I could shift my thoughts, right? I knew that my thoughts were creating
Sure.
all these feelings, but I was like, this is not what I want. And you get to decide what you will tolerate and will not tolerate. And if it's not what you want, leave. And so it is hard, especially if you've never like learned how to be by yourself. It's such a bold move to make. But again, you go first. You take that step first.
I 100% agree, Ambra. And it's interesting because I probably never shared my story with you, but it's kind of similar. Like, I got divorced, I guess it's been like 7 years now. And I was the one who left. I was the one who was like, I want, like, wasn't bad, but it was just not what I wanted.
Yes.
And it's scary as fuck to step away. It's the same thing when you step away from a career, right? When I left my yoga studio and decided to become a coach, it's the same thing, when you leave a partner. It's the same thing when, like when you leave anything, really, and
Yeah.
you're going into like this, like almost the wild, like you have no
Yes.
idea. And it's like, I think you kind of said it really beautifully, but it's like knowing what you want, valuing yourself enough, honoring yourself enough to like have your own back, and to
Yes.
like give yourself what you want. And it's like going first, guys. I want you guys to hear this, no matter what it is in your life. It's scary as fuck.
Yes. I was
It
gonna say
really is.
that.
I don't want to diminish that.
No.
It's also, I think, and I'm guessing Amber is going to agree, probably one of the most powerful things you can do.
You
And
are reading my mind.
might be one of the most life transforming things you can do, because you blow your own mind with, especially once you get through it. I'm not saying it's all roses and butterflies and unicorns. Mine was pretty messy for a little while, but when you navigate through it and you get to the other side, who you become, I can't even describe it. I can't even put words to it.
Oh my God. 100%, right? Like it is scary. Like we're not like saying that it's not, but I love the word that it's so empowering. And it's so true. Like you become this woman that you're like, wow, like that was all worth it. I'm so glad I took that leap of faith, right? Like if you're considering doing it, but like you'll be like, I'm so glad I took that leap of faith. I'm so glad I invested in myself. I'm so glad I decided to leave that job. you know, and you might not reap the rewards like within the first year. Sometimes it
No.
takes, right? You might only see that 3 years like ahead, but you know, if you're thinking like 10,000 steps ahead, you'll never make that first jump, right? Like knowing what you want, like being very clear of what's important to you, and just taking that first baby step. Like it can be as simple as just taking that first baby step. Like, you know,
Yeah.
yeah, like you go first doesn't always have to be like a super bold move. It can be just like, you know, like deciding to like look for a coach or decide. Yeah, it can be as simple as that.
So I'm curious, Amber, because this was something I was thinking about as you were talking is like, so as you were going through this, did you get yourself some support?
At that point in time, let me think. Was I going through support? I probably was. I mean, I've had a coach now for the longest time. So I think she was part of this. I think she was, or she wasn't. But I know that I've had a coach since for 3 years, 4 years now. Maybe. Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm not
The reason
100.
I asked, because I think you mentioned like getting support. And I think like I was actually talking about this in the group the other day about how unfortunately society has this like belief that like we shouldn't need support. You should be able to do it all on your own. And I think it's
Yeah.
a load of shit. Because
Fucking.
if you look at how we've evolved as humans, I wrote literally a whole post about this yesterday, like just spewed out of me. But it was all about, it was like more like a rant. It's like literally, if you look at how we've evolved as humans, it was with support. We would not, any of us, be alive if when we were back like what, hundreds and thousands of years ago, when like the men went out and hunted, the women, you know, some collected the berries and some watched the children, but they were supporting each other, right?
Yeah.
It wasn't like the man had to like, or we'll go with the women because most of my audience is women. It's not like the women had to go out and get the food,
Yeah.
collect the, you know, the berries, take care of the children all at once. And I
Yeah.
think that, I think too often people are seeing support as negative, and
Yeah.
support is actually, I think, what fuels things and makes things go faster.
Oh yeah. 100%.
So like, would you agree that like even when you like are going first and you're taking that one baby step, like
Yeah.
the difference between having support and not having support?
Oh, 100%. Like when my clients come to me, like they're like, you know, I think this is such a like coach speak, like quantum leap. They're like, oh, I never knew I could do this. Like, wow, you know, and just like taking like honestly, I really believe in the power of like getting support. We can't do everything on our own. Like having a coach just to be there to walk you through everything. And like the I just feel like how like coaches, we just support our clients in a just a different flavor. Like it's very different from having like a friend, right?
Mhm.
So I like I'm a firm believer in getting like I think everyone should have a life coach all the time.
I
Like
agree. But Amber, what would you say? Okay, so give them an example of something that when someone has come to you, right? And you know where they were and then like what happened in their journey. So they can get a feel for like, you know, this idea of like, so yes, we go first as coaches. We both, I think we both firmly believe that. But what can they like what how do I say this again? Okay, so hold on a minute. So you went through your breakup, you learned how to be alone and how to really nurture yourself, right? Love on yourself, take care
yeah,
of yourself, and not really need a man to fill your self
yeah.
identity and self concept. And can you give them an example how, like, by you doing that first and going through that process, that now it's impacting your clients?
Yeah, I mean, I can speak so authentically about like where they're at because I know how that feels.
Yes.
Like I remember just like, you know, after a breakup, like the fear of abandonment never, it's not something, there's no such thing as eradicating fear. But I learned how to process and hold so much space and love for myself and self-soothe and tell myself it's okay, like I'm breathing, I've got this, like my mind is telling me I'm in danger, but I'm okay. And just breathing through and loving through everything. And because I've done the work first, I can totally relate to my clients when they are experiencing all those things. And I feel like your clients at the end of the day really want someone that knows them, that understands them. And I feel like that's so important. Like if this is the kind of work that you want to do, like you've got to, well, it helps so much. Like you don't necessarily have to go through everything, but it helps when you're able to know what it's like to be in a client's shoes. Like it's just something I can't even describe. And because you know what they're thinking at the point in time, you're able to coach them and help them like, yeah, just reframe how they're thinking, right? Get in touch with their body, help them to calm the nervous system. It's so important. And so, yeah, so obviously, like one of the things, like let's say my client's company post breakup and they're fearing abandonment, they're fearing being lonely, and we get them. And in these moments, when they feel tempted to text their ex or go back into the relationship, they learn how to be with themselves, and they just don't self-destruct, or they don't like start again dating a million people to fill that void, or they don't feel that like need to act on the desire to text their
Yeah.
ex because they are experiencing a certain emotion.
Ooh, I think that's so important, that what you just said, because like you were able to do that for yourself, that you can now hold the space for someone when they have that same or a similar, I mean, all humans are different, right? But like when they have that, like, oh, I'm going to go text my ex, instead of like jumping in the pool with them, you can see like further ahead of what's going to happen if they don't do that.
Yes, 100%. When they don't do that, they show themselves that they can be alone, right? And then
Yes.
the more they practice like managing their own emotions, the more they create new evidence that like future self, like that's possible for me.
Yeah.
So it's so important. Like we don't realize these like little moments when we're coaching ourselves and we're allowing ourselves to feel all those things, that it creates it all adds up, and it creates, and you don't even realize that you've become like this completely different person. But it's the mini moments, those mini coaching moments where you're like doing all those things that like create those results, right? It's like you go first in those mini moments.
Yeah. Okay. So Ambra, like when it comes to like you going first, what would you say has helped you most? Like, what are those little mini things that have helped you to be able to support your clients and really help them get the results they want?
Well, one of the things that I've worked a lot on was just like, I think I used to have a long manual of how I wanted my partner to behave. And it was like if he didn't text me or say particular words like you are important, like or I matter to you, and he didn't say all those words, I would be like, he doesn't love me anymore. Right. But now I know that that is just like me attaching like meaning behind those words and making it mean a certain thing. I mean, he doesn't do
Mm-hmm.
that. And like now that I've learned to sort of like see the big picture and realize, okay, like he didn't do that, but there's so much evidence that he does care. Like, why am I fixating on that? And I've learned how to create a different story, like about my partner's love for me. And I don't necessarily need to cling on to like those specific actions anymore to feel a certain way. And even if my partner is not doing all those things, if I want to feel loved, important, and valued, I am always in control of that. I can always tell myself, like, Amber, I love you. You are important. You matter. Like, I want you. I want to be with you. And then,
Yes. Okay. So I want you guys to hear this. Like, you go first means that you have to learn how to love, nurture, and hold yourself. Really, truly, I really firmly believe this, to fully do that for another person, whether it's as a coach or in a partnership or with your children or a friendship. And it's the missing link for a lot of coaches out there,
yeah.
and for a lot of relationships, in all truthfulness.
Yeah. So like really like it's so amazing once like my clients start to feel their own self-love, they realize that they don't have as many demands because they're like, I'm actually pretty okay. Like I don't need you to validate me all the
Yes.
time. I need constant reassurance. I don't need you to like do certain things. And like my cup's pretty full right now. Like,
Yeah.
I'm great. And
Yeah.
that doesn't mean that, I also want to say this, right? That doesn't mean that we never lean in for support. Like, I'm all about leaning in. I think
Yeah.
being in independent relationships is so important, but we need to find that balance of like leaning in and like also doing that inner work on like learning how to self-soothe, right? So in this way that we don't like overburden our partners. And
Yeah. It's like that. It's a healthy balance, right? Like, I don't think
yeah,
either of us are saying like in a relationship, like, of course you want to be supportive and you want to be supported, but it's not like you need it to be, to like feel whole almost, right?
yeah, yes, yeah. You don't like, it's an amazing addition to have. Like, I love hearing
Yeah.
my partner say things like you're important to me. Um, and it's also okay to communicate that. And like, yeah, and so I think one of the things that I also help my clients, and I feel like a lot of my clients struggle to express their needs. And
Mm.
so one of the things that I've helped them is like, it's okay to express your needs, right? It's totally fine. Just don't go on the other spectrum where you're like, oh, well, he didn't do that, so he doesn't love me. So like I said, it's always this fine balance. Like,
Yes. Like
yeah,
learning to communicate what you want, but then not attaching if they
yeah,
do it or don't do it to like your worth.
yeah. Mm-hmm. Woo! Like this is an endless practice. Like, and I want to tell everyone here that this is not easy. Like
No.
we've not been taught that. Like literally, we've been taught that like before I even knew that it was my responsibility to fulfill my own needs and I have control over my thoughts. I was like, yeah, I'm in a relationship. This person is meant to fulfill my needs. And so
Yeah.
it's just not like I've had to unfuck my brain so many times.
Oh yeah.
Like,
I say
all
all
right,
the time, like untangle all these wires. They're like so crossed. So much of what society, culture, um, life has taught us is it's not that it's bad and wrong. It's just there's other ways that
mhm.
may help people, not everyone, but a lot of people, I would think, be able to live in a just like more balanced, like calmer, like I don't even like to say positive because like
Yeah.
it's not positive negative. It's just like a clear,
Ooh, okay. A
like a
clearer,
clear way.
clearer way. I love that. Yeah, I mean, like when you start to be in charge of like your own emotions, you like, yeah, I think from there on you can make clearer decisions. Like,
Yeah.
yes, yes. Because you're not like, there was another client that was kind of just, she was like, oh, well, Rachel, I think you'll know what I'm talking about. It's like, oh, I think I should leave. Like, keeps prioritizing parent and yeah, I mean, like, I just feel like when you take ownership of like your own thoughts and emotions, like it just, you can make decisions from like a more empowered space, I feel.
Agreed. It's like you get to be like I don't like the hero, but like you're just not the victim of your life
Yeah,
anymore.
I was just gonna say that.
I don't like the
Yeah.
word like
I
hero
don't
of
like
your
the
life
word
because
as
that
well.
doesn't quite sit, but like you just, it's a control, like, right? Like,
Yeah,
doesn't that what everybody wants? Like, is more
yeah,
control. I mean, at least most of the
yeah,
people I meet. So like, here you go.
yeah. Control, freedom, right?
Freedom.
Yeah, freedom, freedom.
Oh,
Ah,
anyway. Okay. So Ambra, tell them like a little bit about like when people come to you, where are they usually at? Like
mm,
in their journey, and you told them a little bit about how you support them, and then
yeah.
what can they kind of expect, like what kind of results do they tend to get?
Well, it really depends where they're at because I have people coming at different stages. So maybe like post breakup, and they're like, wow, like I realized that I was constantly people pleasing, bending over backwards for this partner, super clingy, like constantly doubting whether I was good enough, right? And they're like, it's time for me to heal my own wounds, how to do that inner work so that I can show up as like my best self in my next relationship, right? So it's like finding closure, but then healing and really working on loving themselves and learning how to be by themselves. So that's one thing that can happen. And then sometimes like some clients are like, I'm ready to look for a partner. And so I realized that, I keep attracting, the word that he uses, attracting, when the key thing is like you're attracted, right? Because
Yes.
subconsciously they want love, but then they keep like attracting emotionally unavailable men. And the real thing is that they don't feel worthy of like the best love, like somebody who is willing to be committed, right? So it's like teaching them, you know, how to like love themselves first so that they can then go about and make better decisions, right? And choose better partners for themselves. And then I help people when they are in a relationship and they find themselves being super codependent, super anxious, super clingy, and they're like, look, like I'm in an amazing relationship and I know that, you know, I want to spend the rest of my life with this person and I don't want like the same unhealthy relationship patterns like to show up over and over and again. Like I want this relationship to work. And for this relationship to work, I need to go first. I need to work on myself first. And like this work is so powerful. I literally had a client telling me that like, oh, like my partner, like he doesn't create a safe environment for me to express my own emotions. And when I coached her on creating safety within herself and feeling comfortable to speak and express, like they had such a like the way in which they communicate with one another now is insane. Like he used to shout at her all the time, but now because she has learned how to understand from his perspective and she just like the work that she's done, like they like he doesn't shout at her anymore. Like
That is fucking amazing. I love it.
Right. And she was like, and it's like, she was like, I created safety first. I went first. Yeah. And thereafter, like my partner was like, ooh, like I feel safe to talk to this woman. Like I don't need to react the way I've always reacted. Right. And so she changed the way in which she communicated. She was like, instead of blaming him, like I feel this way, she was like, I understand where you're coming from, but you know, so just so powerful. So yeah, in a nutshell, it's a bit hard for me to be like pinpoint and there.
Basically, if you're either, so how I see it, Ambra, is like if you want to have an amazing fucking relationship, whether you are in the process of healing from a broken heart, whether you're not getting right now the type of, you're not attracting the type of relationship you want, or you're in a relationship and it's a bit wobbly, it's all the same thing.
All the same thing.
A fucking amazing relationship, the work starts with you. I 100% agree. It starts with you. And you 100% need Ambra to help you clean up all the garbage, all the wires that are crossed. So, and here's the thing, you don't need Ambra to work with you and your partner. When I used to do like more general life coaching, I'd have clients come to me and be like, well, will you meet with my husband? Will you talk to my husband? No, we don't. You don't need that, guys. You go first, you change, you work on you, and everything evolve. Everything, I want to say, everything works its way out. And if that person is the person that is right for you, it will work out. If they're not, you're going to see very quickly, very clearly that you'll be okay on your own, and then you will attract the right person. Anyways, so
good. I feel
basically, if you want a healthy relationship, call Ambra.
100%. I love what I feel like. You know what? I should hire you to be like my spokesperson.
Oh my God, so funny. I was talking to someone else, I forget, recently, and she was like, I feel like you could write my copy better than I could. And I was like, I think you could write mine better. I think sometimes, and this is the beauty of a coach, is we can, like when we're so close to something, you sometimes can't see it. But like when you are outside of it and it's like, you know, I'm not in your like stuff, right? It's like you can zone out and see it so much clearly. It's almost like I was saying to a client actually 2 weeks ago on a call, it's like a puzzle in a lot of ways. Like when we as a coach can sit back and here's the box. I'm not a puzzle person, ironically, but I like to think of it like a puzzle. It's the only metaphor so far I've thought of is like, okay, there's the box. That's what it looks like. Okay. Then the person comes to you and they've got all the pieces and they're all jumbled and messed up. And they're so in it that they can't even see like where those pieces go. But the coach comes in and can like kind of sit back. They know exactly how that puzzle is going to fit together. So they can just slowly pick up the pieces and be like, okay, So it doesn't matter if there's like Ambra and I've talked about this before, when you have like a client who comes to you with like 3,000 thoughts or 3,000 like circumstances, you just lean back and you look at them all. It doesn't matter really, honestly, which one, guys, you pick first, because there's probably a pattern, which we do talk about in the program, and how you kind of identify those patterns. But like, it's just trusting yourself to be able to like pick one, knowing doesn't actually matter so much which one, because as the pieces start to come together, we create like the full thing. And the truth is, people, when we're in our shit and we're really close to something, it's just harder to see it. It's just like my kids, right? They grow. They don't look like they've gotten that much taller to me, but my parents who haven't seen them in 6 months are like, oh my God, they're so tall, blah, blah, blah. They're so old looking. I'm like, whatever, they look the same. Because you're just so close to it. You just don't see it. It's like your home, right? It collects dust and dirt, and like, you don't see it because you're just a part of it. Well, maybe some people do, but then you get a cleaning lady to come in and like scrub and clean, and you're like, whoa.
Yeah, I really love that analogy. Like we have that big picture and we know exactly how to help them, and it doesn't matter what puzzle piece you go first. Because look, at the end of the day, working on one, like you'll eventually, like, everything will fit together. And like, I think, I know we're going off a bit of a tangent here, but like, it's fine.
It's all right. It's all good.
Yeah, like it really does. Like everything will come together. Trusting in yourself. That, you know, that piece that you take, right, to go first will, like, it will work out. So
it will put the puzzle together. Like,
yeah, it will eventually.
Because everything impacts everything.
Yes. So actually, Rachel, I feel like I know that you're interviewing me, but I want to talk to you. I actually want to ask you about.
Ooh, I love this. No one's ever asked me a question on my podcast. You go first, Ambra.
I want to ask you about you go first energy and how that has helped you.
Oh my God. Thank you for asking that. So many ways. So, yeah, oh my God, I wouldn't even know where to start almost, but like, so I think like me go first has kind of always been kind of like a theme I realized in my life. Like, you know, like I started a yoga studio, right? And I didn't fucking know anything about starting a business, but I just knew I loved yoga. I knew how it impacted me and how I felt. And so I was like, I know if it feels this great on me and things are shifting and changing, it's going to do that for other people. So I went first, and I was willing to just jump off the cliff and try it. And then, like I mentioned with my first marriage, like, that was a lot of the work I had been doing on myself, right? Of like having to learn how to really feel like I was valuable and I was important, and that, you know, it was literally me building some confidence in myself and seeing myself as good enough, right, to have what I really wanted. So like I went first there. And then it's like, I just feel like it's this theme in my life that like, before I'm going to share something with other humans, like I need to experience it first. And I have this really strong belief that like we go first. Like, you don't have to, guys. It's not I'm saying you have to, but for me, by going first, that experience of feeling it in my body is so different than understanding it something just in my head. And when I can feel it in my body, and like, and it's not that I know your experience, because I don't, every human's different, but there's like this ability like to relate and feel connected.
Yes.
And I really am such a believer that like, I think I talked to you about a lot, and I talk about this on the podcast a lot, about integrity.
Yeah.
For me, really, that is what integrity is that like, I want to go first. I want to test it out on myself.
Yeah.
Before I go and share it. And I guess that's just a part of who I am. Like, I can't even explain where that came from, or I really don't know. I haven't actually sat down and really thought about it. But when I look back across, like, you know, I'm 46 years old, and I look back across my whole adult life, like I've always felt like I need to know that it works on me before I would teach or coach or help someone else. Right. So it's like, as a coach, even inside my program, like every single tool, every single philosophy, every single anything I do in there, I do myself first. And I've not just done it once, like I practice consistently, I test it out, I try it out. Some of them fail, guys. There's things that are not in there because they did not work. But it's like when you go first, I don't know, you're like the living, breathing example of what's possible for someone else. So I guess like I just love this. I just love this conversation. I love everything about you go first because it is so everything I teach. I mean, my program, it's like you learn how to do it on yourself first.
Yes.
Because
oh my God,
who are like, I am sorry, who the fuck are you if you're not doing it? I'm sorry. I don't even care. Like, for example, if like, I mean, I don't do anything with like weight loss in my program, but you know, like I do believe that, let's say, for example, you are a weight loss coach. For me, I mean, I lost 40 pounds, 50 pounds. A lot of people don't know that. And I had to go first, right? Before I would ever, now I don't really teach that, but really it's all about loving yourself. Like if you love yourself, you aren't going to treat your body like shit. Right? So yeah, you have to go first. And it's like inside my program, it's like we go first. Every single tool you practice, I am like, people, practice it on yourself.
Yes, I love that. I feel like whoever's really listening to you, like it's so important, like, they can trust that like you've done the work and that you've practiced this and that you are really living in integrity with everything that you teach. Like, I honestly wouldn't trust someone if they have not like done
Me
the work.
too, right? Like I don't want to I mean, let's be real. Like, and I think it's one of the biggest problems in the coaching industry is people aren't, not you, Ambra, I know you practice what you preach, but there are a fair amount of coaches out there that are like, well, I'm just going to go help people do this or that, but they're not going first. They're not willing to be vulnerable. They're not willing to feel all the emotions that come with really doing the work. And so you got to do it yourself, guys, to be able to create that safety, like Ambra just said, where someone will want to invest with you.
Yeah. And I think it also helps you then feel confident in your coaching bit, like in your skills.
100%. Right? Because if you know it works on you, okay, and then let's say you join a group and you are coaching other people using those tools and those techniques and it works on them. Okay, so now it's not only not working on you, but it's working on like all the other people in the group. Yeah. It's like, you're not a unicorn. I'm sorry. Yeah. Of course, it's going to work on other humans too. And it's like, it gives you almost that inner validation.
Yes, 100%. The inner validation is true. Like if like the things that you learn, right? You can teach someone else the tools and then they'll be able to do it as well in their own little like flavor. Right?
Yes, you make it your own.
Yeah, you make it your own. And I just love this concept really, that what you're talking about, like just going and doing the work first. And so I guess, oh my gosh, I feel like I'm interviewing now, but I love it. So how has self-concept shifted as a result of you going first? Like,
oh my God, Ambra. Okay, so if you had known me 20 years ago, there's no fucking way I would have had a podcast. I mean, like, I couldn't really talk in front of people. Like, I could talk one-on-one, but I would have never done this. I wouldn't actually be doing probably anything I'm doing because I had no self-concept. Really, I didn't. I wrote a post about this actually recently, and I posted it. I think it went out yesterday, and it was like, I was a chameleon. So if you were hippie, I could put on my hippie. If you were like prim and proper and preppy, I could be prim and proper and preppy. If you were like barely scraping by, I could play the poor card really well. So whoever I was with, I got really good at it too. I molded myself to be that person, but none of them were me. really.
Mm.
Like I was, I think, a little bit of each of them, but I wasn't allowing myself to really be seen. So doing the work of really, like breaking down all of, the bullshit that I had collected over the years. And look, guys, I'm so fortunate. I grew up in a nice home, good parents. It doesn't mean you still don't have bullshit. Okay.
Yes.
It doesn't mean you still can't have bullshit. Like, I mean, I love my mother dearly, but there were some things that were said that I interpreted. And I think she had really good intentions. I just didn't hear them that way.
Yeah.
There were things that happened with peers and children, whatever. We all have our stories. And when you're willing to look at them, see them, and not even necessarily change them, just hold space for them and do the work, like now, like I have confidence, right? Now I had the ability to leave a relationship that I didn't feel like was what I really wanted, right? I have an amazing relationship now with a husband. Do be careful what you ask for, people. I do believe in manifestation. I used to every night be like, I just want a man who wants to sit up at night and talk to me. Last night, my husband was like, so let's talk. And I was like, no, let's just go to bed. He's like, you wanted a man that talked. I'm like, I know. Be careful what you ask for. Maybe a balance. I love him to death, but boy, can the man fucking talk. Yeah, all night long. He could definitely talk. It's probably what though made me fall in love with him. Like, I think it was like our second date and we stayed up till like 4:00 in the morning, just like talking. Oh, I know, craziness. So, but really, I think it's like, even some girlfriends I've had since I was like in my 20s, like I'm not the same person. I mean, I
Yes.
am. I'm like, underneath all that was me, but I've now like I've shed all of those like chameleon, all those
Yeah.
skins that just I was hiding behind. And it's why now I'm like, yes, I say fuck a lot. I grew up with a father that says fuck a lot. And guess what? That's who we are, right?
Yes. We
Are
say
we,
fuck a lot.
yes,
You and
we
I.
are not, I am not the most socially, I don't know, appropriate. Like I tend to say things that are inappropriate a lot. And I like to be silly and laugh. And I let all that out now. I just don't hide it. And
Yeah.
it's so, like you said earlier, it's freeing. Like it's
Oh,
also energizing. Here's the truth is I was exhausted all the time. My mom used to be
yeah.
like, why do you look so tired? You're so tired all the time. You need to sleep more. And but a lot of it wasn't like that. I mean, yes, my sleep has gotten a lot better in all truthfulness, but a lot of it was the emotional and their energetic weight of like not of like it's exhausting trying to be something you're not, guys.
100%.
And
It's so
you do the
exhausting.
work and you just get to be you. It is so much lighter. It is just so much freer. Um, I mean, I don't even know all the words, but like, yeah, I think like that is like my self concept of like people now are like, oh, you're so confident though. And I'm like, well, it's taken a lot of work, people. It
Yeah.
didn't just happen overnight. Like there's effort that has gone in it. And yeah, if you know me now, like, yeah, now you know, several years ago, I taught a yoga class in front of like, I don't know, 500, 1,000 people. Like the things I could have never done, I've been able to show myself that I
Yes.
can do. And I want everyone to
Like,
hear that because who you are right now doesn't have, you might have some layers that you need to like, almost like a window. It's like a little dirty and clean, right?
mhm.
In order to be step into your who you really want to be, right?
Yeah.
It's nothing wrong with that. Like it all helps you step into that self concept. And if you guys are like, what the fuck is your self concept? It's like who and how you see yourself.
Yeah. I was like, we keep saying
All of a
self.
sudden, I was like, huh. I have talked about self concept on the podcast, but if they haven't listened to any episodes, I'm like, they may be like, what the fuck is that?
It's like,
So,
yeah,
Ambra, now that you asked me that, and people are probably like, man, this interview is going on forever. So we will end in a second. So I do have to go in a
yeah.
minute. But Ambra, I want you to answer that question before we end. What about for you? How has your self-concept changed by you going first? Because I
Yeah, just
love
like,
that question. It was so fucking amazing.
oh my goodness. Well, I feel like whatever you said, like I've become like this person, and I'm like, I look back and I'm like, who am I? And I feel like when you said it so beautifully, like when you go first, you learn more about who you like can truly be. you may not realize that that's possible for you, but you learn so much about yourself. You like start to just, yeah, like it is like it's a dirty window and you're like, wow, like cleaning everything and you're like, man, I can see myself so much more clearly. Like that's what we said, like clarity. And so I think going first is the best gift that you can ever give yourself. That's what I want to leave this podcast like that. It's the best gift you can ever give yourself.
I've nothing. I mean, I 100% agree. I'm not going to even like, I think that's a beautiful way to like, for us to close. And so Ambra, if someone's listening right now and they're like, I love her energy, you know, they're maybe in one of those phases, right? And they just want to have a really amazing relationship. How do they find you? Where's the best place for them to go?
Best place to find me is on Instagram. It's she'll probably leave a little footnote. It's Ambra.
I will.
Yes, and you guys, my energy on Instagram is like on fire.
It is. It's so good. You guys should just follow her, even if you're like not like in that place, but you just want to be inspired by some really delicious energy. You've got to go follow Ambra. Or if you're a coach and you're like inspired by what she's doing, don't go follow her to like compare, but go follow her to see like seriously what's possible, people.
Yeah. Like, but even if you like, just go like follow me. Like, I love when other relationship coaches follow me. Like, great, you know, like we can all draw inspiration from one another.
Absolutely.
Like, yeah, it's not like I'm really in that abundance mindset, right? Like, who's a great fit for me might not be a great fit for you. Who's a great fit, you know? Like, we're so different as human beings, and that's amazing. And I'm so glad that we get to be ourselves on this.
I love that. Oh my God, Ambra, thank you so much. So much from the bottom of my heart for having this conversation with me. Guys, if anyone's listening right now and you're like, okay, I'm ready to go first in being a coach, or you are a coach, but you're like, I don't know if I'm actually in 100% in integrity right now, you got to join the Live Your Dharma program. I promise, literally, your life is going to like explode. It's going to be amazing. So
I second that. I've done it. I second that. I've done it. It was freaking amazing. Like, my level of like listen, like you just have to apply a couple of things.
It's not a lot.
Not a lot. It's just like a little pinch and just do the actual work. Fucking hell. So I just want to say just a little testimonial before we leave. Like, I used to get super overwhelmed when my clients would send me like 4 pages worth of thoughts, and then she was like, look for the patterns, trust in yourself. And you guys, like, I used to get these things and I used to get so overwhelmed. First off, it would take me like forever to scour these things and overwhelmed. And then when I start writing, it would take me 1 hour to like fucking reply. It takes me 15 minutes. Shabuya.
Okay, that is all you need to know. So whatever level you're at as a coach, right? Like, Ambra didn't come to me brand new. Like, she's been coaching, like she's got clients, and there's a lot of people in the program like that. Like, it's not, you know, it's a place where you get to, like Ambra said, you get to learn from your peers, to grow with your peers, but you also get to like fine tune your coaching, which not only is great for you, but let's be honest, we all went into this to help our clients. And that's really what it's about. All right, guys, doors are open now. So you can sign up and fill out an application, and we'll talk about it. All right, guys, have a wonderful, fabulous week. Ambra, thank you. I love you. And we'll see you all next week. Thanks for listening to this week's episode of The Wellness Boss. If you want to learn more about my work, come visit me at rachelbethcoaching.com. That's Rachel minus the extra A, bethcoaching.com. I hope you have the most fantastic week. Don't forget to subscribe and review and to share this podcast with all your friends. See you next week. Namaste.